Hi, I'm Jim Paxson. Tonight you'll see some of the most amazing wildlife Arizona has to offer. From Mexican wolves in our forested mountains to the elegant sandhill crane in our southern wetlands. All that and more coming up next on Arizona Wildlife Views.
Arizona Wildlife Views is brought to you by the sale of hunting and fishing licenses and the Heritage Fund, lottery dollars working for wildlife. Some projects made possible by the Sport Fish and Wildlife Restoration Fund.
Good evening and welcome to our show. Our first story tonight is in the beautiful marshes of southeastern Arizona, where thousands of sandhill cranes gather each year as part of their annual migration.
They start to show up in October. By January, about 30,000 sandhill cranes have migrated to southeastern Arizona. They visit each winter from as far north as Siberia, and they always put on a show. Sandhill cranes put the wow in Wings over Wilcox. It's a birding and nature festival that took flight in 1994 as a joint venture between the City of Wilcox Chamber of Commerce and the Arizona Game and Fish Department.
In 1994, we started with a day and a half, and it's grown now to 5 days, so it is a lot more people coming to Wilcox.
The festival originated as a way to showcase the cranes, but it's evolved into a celebration of all natural wonders in and around the city of Wilcox. It's a cow town, a ranching and farming community with a strong connection to singing cowboy Rex Allen, who was born on a ranch just outside the city. A monument to the man stands proudly in the city's Railroad Park, overlooking the Rex Allen Museum that's right across the street. But for 1 week in January, the Arizona cowboy takes a back seat to birds and the people who love them.
Oh, this is wonderful.
I love birds. I've loved birds my whole life. They're amazing, amazing animals.
Isn't it the best when you see them and they strike the same pose as in the book?
We love the birds.
Wings over Wilcox has continued through the years as a Chamber of Commerce sponsored event made possible by the hard work of dozens of volunteers.
This is the end result of
Right here in southern Arizona?
volunteers putting in their hearts and motivation and passion about birds and the community into these efforts. Then people come here and they're excited.
Yes.
And it's just a good feeling.
It's also good business.
Number one, they're easy to clean.
In recent years, the festival has contributed more than $150,000 a year to the local economy.
Over the last 20 years that we've been holding this festival, it's brought at least $2 million into this community. Our hotels, motels fill up, the restaurants have more business.
The nature of the business is nature and the people who enjoy it.
I'll take one. All right.
A nature expo features a variety of vendors selling everything from postcards to wildlife socks
They're very popular right now.
I make them more for the birds than the people.
to designer birdhouses.
They're handmade and a lot of people seem to enjoy that aspect of it.
Building a nest box is one activity designed especially for kids.
They make tracks?
But there's so much more to see and do.
Beauty, isn't he? Have you seen the face?
I got a fish.
You got a fish? Okay, you're good to go. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming by.
This is Chief, and we're from Liberty Wildlife, and he is a 5-year-old bald eagle. Good job, baby.
Kids big and small can get an up-close look at rescued and rehabilitated birds thanks to Liberty Wildlife and the Arizona Game and Fish Adobe Mountain Wildlife Center.
Yeah, this is our great horned owl. He has got an injury to his right wing, so he cannot be released to the wild. So we use him as an educational ambassador.
All right. So if everyone's ready, let's start headed over to the platform. We'll look for birds on the way.
Seminars and field trips provide more ways to learn about birds and see them in the wild.
We get a lot of sparrows in the winter here too.
Volunteer Jenny McFarland of the Tucson Audubon Society leads this tour for beginning birders at Cochise Lake, not far from downtown Wilcox.
Yeah, this is my 3rd year of leading trips for Wings Over Wilcox. This was built last year as part of the festival. Yeah, this platform right here. It's pretty nice. I have a fabulous time taking birders out, especially new birders. I love leading bird trips. That's very typical behavior for these birds. Here's a sparrow right here in front of us. Oh, he just flew. Okay, look, if anyone noticed, oh, dang it. Those would be some sandhill cranes that are flying. That's a vermilion flycatcher. Yeah, okay, so they're ducks, right? And those are American widgeons. Oh, there they go, the widgeons. Look how white their stomachs are. Yeah, that's a good flying clue for them. I don't know, it's just something about birds. You can bird anywhere, you can bird everywhere. Birds are always around, and they're so beautiful and they're so varied. It makes them a really fun thing to look at. Well, look at the way they're flying. These are most likely chestnut-collared longspurs.
Chestnut-collared
Longspur. Yeah, I'll pull out my book and we'll look at them. This is a critically threatened species. They're steeply declining. They're very, very jittery. So this is what they look like in the breeding season. Okay, they're quite colorful, but yeah, this is a wonderful, wonderful bird. I'm really glad we got to see that. Whoever spotted those, kudos. Those can be tough to see in the sky. Yeah, good job. Those can be really hard to see. All right, fantastic. All right, let's get the spotting scope and go look at the ponds. Okay, we're a little closer to these ducks now. Let's take another look at these guys.
Everyone's excited to make new discoveries.
Okay, someone's flying over. You hear that call?
Yeah, it's white.
But 13-year-old Sierra Pralgo seems especially intrigued.
There they are. Those
Her fascination with birds started by watching them at a feeder in her backyard.
There are some birds that I can't really figure out. I saw this at the zoo.
You saw a redhead at the zoo? That's
good.
Well,
it was just a pond.
Simply seeing birds can be a lot of fun, but those who want a more permanent record of the birds they encounter sign up for this day-long photography tour.
It's all about the cranes.
We've got this group coming in. There you go.
It's hosted by professional wildlife photographers Tom Wetton and George Andraco. Andraco is the photographer for Arizona Game and Fish,
when you're taking pictures,
and Wetton leads photography tours all over the world.
Oh, look at the sun coming through right now.
The tour starts early in the morning when sandhill cranes are taking flight in search of food.
Good. Oh, here they come. Man.
Oh, boy, look at this group. Yeah, so here they come. See, there's your light. That's a beautiful shot right there. That's what we've been waiting for.
I thought it was almost a little bit emotional. It was so beautiful.
It's going great. This is a lot of fun. It's better than I thought it would be so far. We're just getting started.
I hear a whole lot of birds.
After the flybys, the cranes can often be found in harvested fields looking for leftover grain. Later, they'll return to their roosting sites.
Here we got some incoming now. Catching them on the wing, of course, that's the thing. Landing gear down.
Most of them roost at Whitewater Draw. It's a wildlife area managed by Game and Fish and an excellent place to birdwatch.
Naturally, you come down for the cranes, that's the big deal. But then continuing to look around here at Whitewater, I mean, there's all kinds of other birds. They're fun to watch. Sometimes they even let you take their picture.
Sometimes I get real nice pictures and I like to blow them up. But mostly I enjoy being out here doing it.
I'm just absolutely loving this whole experience. It's just been wonderful.
For some, it's a new experience.
So I think I'll wander on and see what else there is.
Los Angeles resident Joseph Reuter has been on this photography tour before.
There's that sparrow again.
But he keeps coming back to Wings Over Wilcox, and not just for the birds.
The people the people that you meet. I just like coming and meeting these people. I also like the fact that at a festival, you're with people who know the area. They know where the birds are. They know where the birds were yesterday. Whereas if you've got a paper guide, you know where the birds were last year.
Get him.
The group makes one last stop at Cochise Stronghold in the Dragoon Mountains.
He's gonna fly away.
No, he won't. If he does, he'll be back.
And this is a wonderful birding area for anybody.
It's a habitat with an abundance of wildlife and limitless photo opportunities.
We're looking at acorn woodpeckers. There's 2 of them. You need to be ready when his head turns back into the sunlight, and that's the shot you want to try to get. Oh, there you go. In the sunlight. Come on. One just flew.
By the end of this 5-day festival, the attendees will have come across a combined total of about 140 species of birds. Most will go home happy, recounting the birds they saw and counting the days until the next Wings Over Wilcox.
Look at all of them out there. It's amazing.
Oh, man.
The next time you venture into the woods of eastern Arizona, listen closely, and you just might hear it. The haunting howl of a Mexican wolf. Or a symphony of wolves, yips and yelps echoing across canyons, mountains, and meadows in Arizona's Apache National Forest.
So you see here...
These sounds were recorded by Canadian scientists John and Mary Théberge. They've been studying wolves for decades, first in Canada, then Yellowstone Park, and more recently in east central Arizona. Every year since 2010, they've spent about a month here recording the howls of Mexican wolves.
We decided that we would look into wolf communication and see what wolves are trying to say to one another and in what context they're communicating with one another.
Not too long ago, there were no wolves to record, no howls to hear. By the early 1970s, Mexican wolves were considered extirpated from their historic range in the southwestern United States, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They were erased from the landscape during the 19th and 20th centuries by ranchers, bounty hunters, and many others who participated in government-sponsored wolf eradication programs.
We haven't had wolves for how long? I've never seen one, until now. I know my dad never saw one, but I know my grandpa and his dad did. They were part of the people where they, were paid to take them out, get rid of them. Out here I just have, these are a lot of our older cows.
Kerry Dobson is a fourth-generation rancher who runs his cattle right in the heart of this country.
Wolf country, yes. I am right in the middle of it.
Mexican wolves are a constant threat to his livestock, but they're also a protected, endangered species, so Dobson finds himself in a peculiar spot. He's learning to live with a predator his predecessors were determined to live without. Mexican wolves, a subspecies of the gray wolf, were listed as an endangered species in 1976. Soon after that, the United States and Mexico started a captive breeding program by capturing the last Mexican wolves from the wild. There were only 7 of them. 7 wolves from 3 lineages were all that stood in the way of extinction. During the next 2 decades, dozens of Mexican wolves were born in captivity, and in 1998, 11 of them were released into the wild. They were the first captive wolves let loose in the Blue Range Wolf Recovery Area, 7,000 square miles in east central Arizona and west central New Mexico. This area, within the wolf's probable historic range, is where the Mexican wolf is making a comeback. The Mexican Wolf Reintroduction Project is a multi-agency effort that includes the Arizona Game and Fish Department, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Forest Service, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the White Mountain Apache Tribe. Those agencies are represented on an interagency field team, which is responsible for day-to-day on-the-ground management of Mexican wolves.
This is the Hawk's Nest Alpha Male 1038.
Jeff Dolphin is team leader for Arizona Game and Fish. He oversees a small group of biologists and technicians who spend their days keeping an eye on the wolves.
So I'm pretty sure she was on this side, which makes sense.
For most endangered species, that's about all the law allows. But these wolves are designated as a non-essential experimental population under Section 10J of the Endangered Species Act. That gives the interagency field team flexibility to take a more hands-on approach to managing these wolves. They capture and relocate wolves that have ventured into areas where they shouldn't be. They release captive wolves to replace those that are illegally shot.
You know, hopefully you get the wolves walking this road and the bait is actually right back in here. Right here is where the actual trap is, and these sticks are where the bait is.
And they trap wolves and their pups so they can fit them with radio collars. When doing so, they take various measurements and record other important data. They also immunize the wolf against disease and draw blood to analyze for pathogens and genetics. Collaring the wolves allows team members to track their movements using radio telemetry. It also helps them keep wolves away from livestock. These Mexican wolves prefer to prey on elk, but they aren't always that choosy.
Right behind us, right here. This is where they were killed, right here.
Dobson says wolves killed 2 of his calves last April. So far, he's had just those 2 depredations in 2014. Last year, he had 12 confirmed kills, and since 2002, Dobson says wolves have taken more than 60 of his animals.
I mean, I'm losing livestock left and right. I need some help. I need something has to change.
A federal trust fund is available to reimburse ranchers for livestock lost to wolves, $200 to $3,000, depending on the type of animal.
They do pay for our confirmed kills. But then, like I said, that we have to move pastures. And a lot of that sometimes we have to use trucks.
Dobson says moving his cattle out of an area when wolves move in takes time and money.
What we have to do on our permits is you have to go up, maintain the fences, maintain the waters, get them all prepared for when you put the cattle in there. We get them in there, wolf den's there. Now we have to move to another spot that we were going to rest or leave alone. We'll have to go in there, maintain those fences, make sure there's waters. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. As you can see, I have the flagery around the top edges of our fences here. I put that up for the elk to keep them out during our calving seasons. For the wolves, we'll put it down lower. We get it about 3 to 4 foot off the ground to where it's able to wave with electricity, and it works pretty good to keep the wolves out. If it was my way, I wouldn't have had them here, but it's not up to me. They're here, and you know, it's up to the federal government to help us out.
Early on, Dobson felt like the Reintroduction Project didn't care about his concerns, and the relationship was contentious.
The first couple of years, I didn't trust anybody, because the stuff that was going on was just not right. And there was no communication whatsoever. It was all hush hush. You know, don't tell the ranchers where the wolves are. You know, you can't do that to us. You know, and it just wasn't working. It wasn't working at all.
Maybe let's think about adjusting what we got.
But in recent years, he says Jeff Dolphin and the interagency field team have helped him quite a bit.
Oh yes, yeah, Jeff. Like I said, I get calls from him sometimes 2 to 3 times a week, locating, letting me know where they're at. Everybody, I mean, like I said, it's been really good.
And I think that buys a lot of credibility for us on our side when we're responsive and listen to them and try and find solutions.
So we're good now.
Dolphin says it's important to have the support of people who live, work, and play on this land. Without it, the wolves are in a precarious position. From 1998 to 2013, 55 Mexican wolves were illegally killed. There have been plenty of setbacks and challenges, but 2014 has been a positive year.
It's been very good this year for the wolves. It looks like we have documented 40 pups produced in the wild, which is more than it's ever been produced in the wild in the history of the project.
2014 was also the first time the field team attempted to cross-foster wolf pups with a wild surrogate pack, and the experiment was successful. Since 2010, almost all of the wolves in the recovery area are wild-born, and they seem to be doing better than their captive-bred relatives.
They're surviving on their own. They're not needing help to survive from us. There's less nuisance behavior from them. They're doing what we want them to do, but we're really seeing a dramatic incline in the population right now.
When the reintroduction project started in 1998, the goal was a self-sustaining population of at least 100 wolves by 2006. That timeline didn't work out, but the number is now in reach.
We'll probably break 100 this year. There's 18 packs right now. We may have 21 packs by the end of January. These are big events that have happened this year that are really looking good for the project in the future.
It's a future where wolves regain their rightful place in nature, where rewards are offered instead of bounties, and where the howl of the wolf is a sound of success.
We humans have done a lot of things, wrong with conservation, but this is a right, and to know that wolf howls can rebound from rimrock to rimrock once again makes this a really special place.
It really touches something within the soul.
Did you know when large numbers of European settlers started to arrive in North America in the mid-1800s, there were substantial populations of desert bighorn sheep in nearly all the mountainous regions of present-day Arizona. Those numbers dropped sharply as human populations increased. By 1937, the statewide population outside of the Grand Canyon and Lake Mead areas was estimated at no more than 700 animals. Now, through the establishment of national wildlife refuges and active management of the bighorn, the population has rebounded to more than 5,000 animals.
Not too long ago, the Arizona Game and Fish Department learned of a baby elk that was removed from the wild by someone in the Safford area. Because it was taken from its mother and raised by humans, it can't be released back into the wild.
It's actually something that happens, too frequently, is people actually think, oh no, it's abandoned, it's just going to die, and so they want to do the right thing and they pick it up when actually that's probably the worst thing that they could actually do for it, because, that's just a typical behavior. The mother will actually bed them down and then they'll go off to feed or, and then come back for it later, and somehow they know exactly where they left it and they'll actually come right back to it, but in this case, I'm sure when the mother came back, it was gone.
Yeah, probably hungry.
The best thing that they could have done would have been just probably leave it there, and then if they wanted, they probably could have contacted one of our offices. We could have went out, at least monitored the situation, and then if there was a problem, we could have dealt with it at that time if she didn't come back, but, like I said, the best thing would have been to leave it there, and allow the mother to come back and then raise it. As it is, this animal, they thought they were doing the best thing for it, but it's probably going to be a captive, reared animal.
To give this baby elk a long-term home, the Arizona Game and Fish Department has partnered with Bearizona, located in Williams, just west of Flagstaff.
I have an elk calf for you.
I got a call from Mike Demlong, and he indicated that there was a young elk calf that had been taken from the wild and was human imprinted and wouldn't be releasable back into the wild. And he wondered if we had a spot for it here at Bearizona.
Feel strong?
Yep. Okay. Well, right now it doesn't have a buddy, so our plan is to incorporate it into our deer herd, which are also animals that were taken illegally from the wild and confiscated and then placed here in our care. And then once we have other elk, provided that we do have other elk, we'll be able to put it into a herd of elk. I think people tend to think in terms of our own human rearing and culture, and when they see a baby and they don't see a mom, they automatically assume it's an orphan. People need to step back and think about what happens in the wild, which is mom will leave a baby in one spot while she goes and grazes. She usually isn't very far away and plans on coming back and taking care of that baby. The best thing for people to do is, if they care, to leave it there. We had people deliver us a young baby badger that they had found orphaned, and they realized they weren't able to care for it, so they surrendered it. We also have received 2 orphan cubs. The cubs needed a home, so they are permanent residents here as well. Arizona is a great opportunity for people to see animals up close in a safe environment that they might normally have to hike through the backcountry or spend a lot of time in a duck blind in order to see, and here they can just walk on in or drive right in and get a very similar experience in a natural environment.
Well, that's our show for tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. For more information, visit our website at azgfd.gov. For all the fine folks at Arizona Game and Fish, I'm Jim Paxson. We'll see you next time.